Hey guys, welcome back to Let's Build Erebor. Now again, I say this every episode, but we're not actually in Erebor yet. We're not even in Lonely Mountain. We're still building the town of Dale, the human settlement just outside Erebor. And so far we've built, as you can see here, the main gate. This leads out towards Erebor, and we'll probably repeat this design on a couple of other locations along the wall, so we have several gates into and out of Dale. We also jazzed up the side of the river there, added an entrance to the underground caverns that we're going to have going throughout Dale. We also finished the town hall that you see above there, some nice lampposts with glowstone, and those white trees that we're going to be using all around the town. And another entrance there to the cavern section. Now this episode, we're going to hit the amphitheater. You see this area here, this kind of weird teardrop microphone-shaped kind of comet? Well, I cut and pasted it out because it wasn't quite central. It still isn't because of the way, just because of how many blocks there are in that region. But it's as close to center as you can get. Now, what I wanted with this amphitheater was a kind of like the globe theater, just like a kind of cylinder filled up with seats, and in the center there would be the stage, and the seats would kind of spray out in like a fan around the edge. So I began to build the framework here with light stone brick, because while the actual theatre is going to have that kind of circular seat setup, it's going to be housed within another building as well. And the circle should reach up above the building, so you can see that originally it was a circle shape. But it's going to have the support of that square frame as well. Now I originally started to build the cylinder out of stone brick, but I switched to sandstone, and then continued to kind of build this archway that will be at the main front entrance to the amphitheater, where it meets the road on the left. So using light stone bricks and light stone brick steps, I kind of built up, you see that kind of staggered archway thing. Now I wanted the archway to start fat, but then peak and then kind of dome over. And I don't finish it just yet, I come back to it at the end, so you'll see the finished archway at the end of the video. But yeah, I just continued to build up with sandstone on the cylinder. But then once I was about 6 blocks up, I expanded the circle by 1 block and started to build up again with sandstone. And it was then I realised that, hang on a sec, I'm not sure how I want the seats to go, so before I actually start building the walls outward, I need to make sure I have enough space to put all the seats in and have them staggered enough for it to look like a proper amphitheatre. So you see me here with sandstone, plotting out the original area for the seats and then replacing that with the darker wood you see here. Once the bottom layer of seats was in, I came around the edge and just staggered up slowly, layer by layer, going 1 block wider with every increment of the steps. Now, my step arrangement for the amphitheater changed so many times. Every time I did it, something cropped up later in the build that meant I had to redesign my seats and redesign where they were. But with the rough outline in place, I came around the edge. And what I wanted as well was, at each side, the left and the right, I wanted there to be like kind of like a box above the rest of the seats where, you know, like kind of like the politicians or the VIPs could come and watch and be away from the hoi polloi, all the peasants and all the kind of, you know, commoners. So I built this section out from the seats on the left, and you can see here, the dark wood still reaches up with a 1 block by 1 block kind of jagged diagonal pattern, but I've still got that box set up on the left, and what I wanted at the back as well was a similar kind of thing, but with a much larger box. So it's going to be a circle with a box to the left, a box to the right, and at the back a very large kind of rectangular box that goes across the whole distance, the whole length of the circle. And you can see me here putting in the dark wood for those steps, which will become the seats. Now again, I had to add more framework with the light stone brick. And when I took a rethink about it, I realised that, hang on a sec, I couldn't make a true circle with the seats. So I removed some of the sandstone I'd already put in place, used some stone brick to border it, and then began to build up the seats again, but in a more square fashion, and as well fanning out so that the seats at the back, the kind of box at the back that's going to be kind of roofed over, looks more natural and it kind of staggers out gently. Now, it took me a while to get this right, and it took me even longer to copy this pattern on the other side. But here we are now over the other side, and it's time to hit the walls of the amphitheatre. Now, I wanted to stick with the theme that we've got throughout the walls of the hold of Dale, which is kind of stone brick framework with a layer of sandstone behind it. And then you see me here bolstering the box at the back with more stone brick and filling in the last remaining steps and adding structure with the stone brick. Now you see me here putting down the wood to count. I wanted to count out how long this box was because I wanted to find the center of it, and then at the center I started to begin to build some steps that would sprawl down. This is going to be the back entrance to the amphitheater and another way in. And you see that kind of, the box is now floating. The seats at the back are kind of suspended by nothing but air. And that's because I'm going to use some pillars, some quartz pillars to hold that box up. So I came around the back and I used stone slabs to make that kind of pyramid stair effect. And then I used the quartz pillar blocks to make these 4 pillars that hold up the seats, the seating box at the back. Using stone brick steps at the bottom to make them look a bit more solid and functional. Right, now I'd done one side pretty much. All I had to do now was come around the back, the other side, and then repeat block for block, hopefully, exactly the same pattern. Now, when you're doing something like this, when you have like a complex shape that's not just a circle, but it's kind of like a circle meets a square, and there's lots of jagged edges, lots of kind of non-standard shapes, it's a real pain kind of coming around the other side and getting things perfectly symmetrical, but I think I just about managed to. And now again with the dark wood, I built up with the steps that would make up to the box, keeping the pattern the same as the other side. And then I came around to the edge, adding the crenellations that I already added on the other side over to this side. And then using stone brick and sandstone steps, made a kind of crenellation pattern along the back for the box seating at the back. And then again, staggering out the sandstone stairs and the stone brick stairs for a kind of patterned effect on the walls this side. And then it was time to decorate the actual walls themselves. Now I wanted a kind of crenellation setup, but in between the crenellations, the stone brick crenellations, I used sandstone upside down stairs and chiseled sandstone to just give the building a bit more variation. Now it's easy to just use one block, to just use stone brick or sandstone, and it's also easy to just use half and half. But what looks best is when you kind of mix the two and combine 2 materials within the same areas. Now you see me here building like a snaky sandstone stair pattern on the side of the wall, and that's just a bit of decoration. And then sinking the sandstone 1 block inside and using the sandstone stair and chiseled sandstone pattern that we have around the rest of Dale. And there we go, that's the pattern around the other side of the amphitheatre pretty much complete. So now it's time to come around the other side and mimic as close as possible, identically if possible, the same pattern and the same building techniques we use over the other side on this side. Just to make sure that when you come around to this side of the building, it doesn't look too different from the other side. Now I'm pretty sure there's going to be a block or 2 that are misplaced that look slightly different to the other side. And what doesn't help is the fact that the amphitheatre, the area that it's in, that gravel base, has an even number of blocks going across the width. And what that means is you can't put something central in an even block space if it has an odd number of blocks to it. Let's imagine you have a square that's 10 by 10, but you also have another square that's 5 by 5, and you see you can't put that square centrally inside the other square because on one side there'll always be either 3 or 2 blocks. so you have to kind of compromise. And I've got this as close as possible to being symmetrical. So again, I came around the front and started to tinker with detail using stone bricks and upside down sandstone stairs. One of the things I wanted to change was the fact that there's stone brick at the moment on the floor of the amphitheatre. And I wanted to make that stone slabs. But first and foremost, the most important thing at the moment was getting the design right on the front corners of the amphitheatre, making sure that the front left corner looked the same as the front right corner, that the crenellations were as identical as possible, and that there was an overall feeling of symmetry when you looked around the building and gauged each side. Now I built two kind of booths here. These are going to be like kind of ticket booths, because if this is an amphitheatre, well, I want two small kind of booths with slanted roofs that people can just come up to and say, oh, is there a play tonight? And they'll say, yes, why yes, tonight's Macbeth. And they can say, oh, I love Macbeth, give me 2 tickets please sir, I'd love to watch this play. So they can get tickets for the Macbeth, go into the amphitheatre and just enjoy. So using sandstone, stone brick and dark wood, I made those ticket booths. Now again, I came inside to the amphitheatre itself and looked at the stage. This is where the actors were actually going to perform. And I filled the middle in with a lighter wood and then created out of fences and glowstone these lamps around the corners so that now everybody in the crowd can see exactly what's going on in the middle of the stage. No matter how far they are away, the whole area is well lit up. Then I came around the edge and started to put down these logs which were going to wall the seating section, but then I changed those logs to just a lighter wood. I think I used oak in the end. And then came around to the front and started to look at the archway itself. Now I wanted to add braziers at the front of the amphitheatre, and here you see me using netherrack and upside down stone brick stairs to make sure the place is also lit up at night. And then I finished the archway, turned it into a kind of circle, and then used some more stone brick to give that circle a bit more structure so it wasn't just a floating pile of bricks. And then filled in these walls with a bit of fencing, wooden fence posts. And there we are, we're almost complete. This is the front of the amphitheatre. Now it's time to come around to the boxes at the left, the right, and the back. And I wasn't sure what material to use here. I thought about using red nether brick steps on all of them, but I wanted to make sure that the back box was distinct from the other two. So I used oak, I think, oak planks and oak wooden stairs to make these staggered slanted roofs on the left and right. And then I came around to the back, and at the back is where I used the nether brick steps to make the back box roof. Again, putting down sandstone as a rough framework, and then using that sandstone to actually build the nether brick steps on. And this roof is held up by wooden fence posts on the left and the right of the box. Now the steps at the moment, the dark wood steps that are the seating for the amphitheatre at the moment are just blocks. Eventually I'll turn them into dark wood steps, but that's a colossal task that I'll get to after the build. Now I came around to the back entrance, built some nether brick braziers out here at the back, and built the entrance to the actual back entrance to the amphitheatre. So this is a back way in for perhaps the actors. Now unfortunately you see where the... And there we have it, the Amphitheatre of Dale. It's quite a grandiose building, and don't worry, the whole town isn't going to be an absolutely rich area. There's going to be some poor areas, there's going to be some dark, dank areas. Coming around the front, you can see the wooden fence posts we used with the stone brick and the sandstone. And at the back, I used this face pattern, and check out the eyes on these faces that I carved into the wall. Each one of them slightly different, with the eyes looking in a different way, and a wacky mouth sign, and a wacky mouth pose. But that's it for this episode of Let's Build Erebor, and today we've hit the amphitheatre. Now it's not quite finished, there's a few minor details we need to finish with it, and we need to make sure that the gravel beneath it is like grass or something. We need to decorate the area with flowers and trees, make it look nice and swish. But again, detail is something that we can come back to at any point. So, I've been Sjin, and this has been Let's Build Erebor. Hit like and favourite, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.